Welcome to the Sedona Soul Sisters Show. We offer down-to-earth discussions on spiritual, metaphysical, paranormal, and healing topics. The Sedona Soul Sisters are myself, Ivory Lanou, Rosalind Reynolds, and Terri-ann Russell. We have offices in Sedona, Arizona, where we see clients from all over the world. Today's topic is the veil thinning and what's happening to people because of that. So if you have questions, you're welcome to ask them live in the chat room. You can also just kind of wave your hand and we'll unmute you and you can ask it live and we'll answer it on the show. And if you're shy, you can ask us later. Send us an email. We'll be happy to answer your questions. So we'll get started with this. So the veil she is thinning. We've been talking about that for over a year now, but I think since, I don't know what it is, maybe the collective energy, but I'm hearing from clients all the time about, oh my gosh, I saw something for the first time. People who've wanted to see something and never have, and people who really didn't want to see anything.
Yeah. Lots of that.
Mm-hmm.
That has been going on for a while, but seems to have intensified quite a bit.
I think it's been since the pandemic started and we had the stay-at-home order. And I don't know if that gave people, like, took them out of the rat race or something, where they had a little more time to focus and relax, because, you know, it's hard to receive if you're doing all the time. But it seems like that's when all of a sudden people are like, our new clients, I'm even getting new clients who are, you know, I saw this and I think I might be going crazy. How many times have we heard that? We've all had our I think I might be going crazy moments.
Yes.
I had mine in 84.
It's true though. You know, a lot of clients have come in and I've been getting the same thing, you know, I'm hearing things, I'm seeing things. And I think you're right. I think it is because we had to slow down and now people are home more and there's more time to go within or listen to that guidance or say, hey, I'm the only one in the house and I'm hearing something. Where is that coming from?
Oh, yeah.
Makes people nervous.
I think some of the most irritating for me, I mean, I'm not looking to experience more paranormal activity, has been at night, and it's increasing, that there's people tapping me when I'm trying to sleep, and I'll be like, you're not allowed to be in here, you're not supposed to be in my room when I'm trying to sleep, you're not allowed to bother me, and things like something dropping on the bed, and it'll feel like somebody took like a golf ball, and held it up about 5 feet, and it drops, and I can feel that hit the mattress, and I can hear it, and there's nothing there.
Then you jump.
Yeah, it wakes me up, and sometimes it feels like a hand slams down like that on the bed, really, like right next to me, hard, and the bed shakes. And I understand that this is, you know, beings, spirit and beings trying to get your attention, but you know, mediums, psychic mediums need their rest too, just like everybody else.
Somebody asked me that today. It's like, how do you turn it on and off? And I said, well, I set clear boundaries. One of them is at night, don't interrupt me when I'm sleeping.
Yes, that's mine too. And usually they're pretty good about it. But lately there's some rebels.
Raj, you must know them.
Oh, yeah. Well, you know, the thing is, I don't sleep very much. So they just feel, you know, quite privileged to just barge in whenever they get ready. But I'm usually, if I'm awake, if I'm not listening to music or something on my phone with earphones in, because I love those sleep, you know, videos on YouTube where they have the ocean waves and the wind and all that. I just love those things, and they really do put me to sleep. But if I'm not doing that, I'm trying to do, you know, focus of energy and concentrate on working on some of these issues that are going on in the world, and working on my healing list of people who need help. And you know, The thing that happens at my house is there seems to be a stuff that just falls off or falls over in the middle of the night, not where I am, but in the other part of the house. And I'll get up, and there's something out on the floor. I'm like, would you guys knock it off? I'm not in the mood. So that's really annoying. And I used to think, but that was part of my energy because I had so much psychokinesis when I was a kid, but I don't really seem to move things around or do stuff like that anymore. There's a lot of stuff that goes on in my office too that's really been interesting. I had that little adventure recently where I had the client who was visiting, who was sitting on the sofa, who was her first reading ever, and all of a sudden she's nowhere near the pillow on the other end, and it just like falls over and out on the floor. Poor woman. I'm going, it's okay. It's just a little visitor. Don't worry.
Something happened with the door that day too.
Yes. So they knock on the door sometimes. They open the door. I had a client in here and I saw the knob turn and I went, oh no. And the door just opened. So I'm like, can you guys have a little consideration here?
We're in session.
I know. We're trying to have some privacy. But it's usually a situation where it's one of their ancestors or relatives who wants to come in. So I just try to roll with it. But I can imagine people who have never had these experiences, when I start talking to them, and they do, they'll come in my office and they'll go, oh, you really got to help me. I think I'm going crazy and I can't tell anybody this. And, all this weird stuff's happening. And I'm like going, I don't know that that's so weird. That's been my whole life. Those veils between those frequencies right now are just stunning. How there's nothing between some of those frequencies anymore.
I'm just seeing angels and spirit through the days. Last night there were so many angels in the room I was exhausted, but I couldn't go to sleep because there were angels everywhere. And then I was doing my nightly thing of saying, please protect my daughter and my grandsons. Please protect this. And I said, and please keep me safe from this virus because, what the situation is with my lungs. And right at that moment, there was that huge golden corona again, right at that second. I hadn't seen it in a week or more. And boom, there it is, that giant golden circle.
Wow.
Okay, thank you for the reminder. I have that protection around me because not that I think I'm special above other people in the world. I'm just trying to handle some work for the angels they've asked me to do, and it's not done yet. So that's the thing. But there's people who are very scared about what they're experiencing, and there's people who are so excited they can hardly stand it. Oh my gosh, I've wanted to experience something like this my whole life, and I finally heard my uncle, or I saw my dad, and I had a dream. All those things that are happening.
Mm-hmm.
I
think it's beautiful.
Thing. Yeah, it's a nice thing.
Isn't this also astrologically? Aren't we going into a time that this is supposed to be happening?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you know anything about that, Roz?
I'm not super knowledgeable about astrology, but I know I have read quite a bit where they're talking about the eclipses, both lunar and solar, planetary alignment, what's going on with that. Even the days that the full moon is actually falling on is significant. And you'd have to really consult an astrologer to get the full scoop. But I just think it's amazing when you read about the magnetism and the incredible magnetic fields. Every time the planets get in a straight line with the sun, there's a huge magnetic connection that's going on. And, we're just not taught to think like that. But it's still
And
there.
that's
It's still
science.
present.
That's
Huh.
science. It's not woo-woo.
Yeah, it's
not-
physics, really. Yeah, it's
not,
science.
it's not magic. It's science. We are beings of energy, and it changes the energy around us above our planet when certain alignments happen. So I would sure like to see more out there. I know there's a lot of astrologists writing about how, and I remember reading about this years ago, that this particular time right now with astrologically was predicted to be a lot of chaos, predicted to be a pretty rough time, a lot of things happening. It would be a very difficult time. I wasn't looking forward to it. I didn't imagine it would be like this. I don't know what I thought it would be, but it wasn't like this. This is worse than I thought. But not a whole lot written about this whole planetary enlightenment, is what I remember hearing about. Maybe we'll have to have a guest on soon who would like to talk about that. Maybe Sandrea could come on and talk about that for us, because she's so eloquent. She's our local astrology friend that we used to be on our original live in-person show we did. We could see if I'm sure she would love to talk about that.
Yeah, I've known her for many years, and whenever you get together with her, just all kinds of information that, is astounding.
That's outside
arrives.
our field. None of us are astrologists. If I had another lifetime to live on top of this one right now, I'd be an astrologist, because I'm very fascinated with it. But there's only so much time. You can't be an expert in everything. But
Yeah.
so
I was always very drawn to astrology too. And I think Mars is in Aries now. What makes it really interesting for Roz and I.
like war when Mars is in Aries. Yeah.
Well, and Aries is ruled by Mars, normally. So it's like, but I think the reason it's really interesting this time, I heard, is it's going to be in there for a long time. It's normally in there maybe 6 weeks or something. I'm not sure, but it's going to be in there a longer time. Of course. But I have heard too, for years now, where they talked about the 2020 vision. And so the year of 2020 was going to be a year of clarity. And so it makes sense that the veils are thinning and people are starting to awaken.
Right now, the angels are coming in, and I'm covered with hard chills. Even my head's trying to go on end, but my hair's too long, so I can't do that.
Like,
but the angels are coming in big time. So when we say that, just to clarify for people watching this later, it can be a time of war, but that doesn't have to be war like what we've experienced, like war with another country. It can be the chaos going on within our own country, and it's going on in other countries too. It's just discontent, anger, which is always preceding big change. So, this is people unhappy, unrest, wanting to see change, tired of waiting, going through the normal ways they go about it. And I think that pressure's just built up and built up. So the war can be exactly what we're seeing now with all the protests and the anger going on around the world. We're not predicting wars.
I think one thing to remember in this time, because of how thin the veil is between the frequencies, is that how much power our thoughts and words have. And by that, I mean, be focused on what we would like to see coming to fruition, as opposed to getting really negative and being focused on what we're not happy about. Because I've noticed lately, if I need something to happen at a certain time, or I'm focusing on, okay, let's pull this all into alignment so we can move forward with this, it just happens like so fast. I shock myself. So I think you got to be a little careful with that.
That's
And
true.
you got to really be aware when you're seeing these things that you've never seen before, or hearing, experiencing hearing people, beings, entities, whatever, from other dimensional fields. When you actually begin to process that you're hearing something that nobody else is hearing, that just freaks people out, to say nothing of if they see something. So I think we have to get control of our mind and our heart and just say, you know, everything is working out the way I need it to. Whatever reason I'm being sent this, it's in my best good, and try to keep our focus in alignment with that. Because otherwise, yeah, I mean, I've had some people come in my office that were kind of hysterical,
Yeah.
you know, even a few months back. Now, I mean, I'm definitely doing fewer in-person sessions, but a lot of the people that I'm on Skype with too are like, what's going on? So it's pretty scary for people.
That was a big one for me, though. When I started awakening, I could hear full conversations, and they weren't conversations really that I understood. They weren't English conversations, but I would lay in bed at night and go to lay down and go to sleep. And I'd say to my husband, like, don't you hear all those people talking? Where is that coming from, you know? And so I was hearing other dimensions, other fields, you know, having conversations. And I thought I was losing my mind.
And seeing the spirits of the land, of the trees, seeing their faces. I mean, that picture I have in my office, that, you know, my wonderful friend from Minnesota provided me, just amazing. And that's a very powerful Native American land, I was told. And I know that when you read about how the, you know, how these frequencies overlap, and how it's not that we have been prevented really from seeing them before. It's, I think, yeah, all the distractions of just trying to survive in our world, which is crazy. I mean, our world is crazy. You're in a car, you're driving home, you're cooking, you're cleaning, you're doing, you know, you never slow down. All of a sudden, everybody's at home. They're like, oh, whoa.
What do I do now?
Yeah, what's this? What is this?
You know, I think we were talking about manifesting, Roz, and for people who don't know what that is yet, it just means you think about something, talk about something, and you bring that into being. And that is something we've talked about at Sedona Soul Sisters that Roz and I sure have a lot, and Terri-ann's part of it, is how powerful the manifesting has become and how fast it happens. We're not even, there's been times like we brought Terri-ann into our lives through manifesting that we didn't even realize we didn't consciously do, but we said specifically, if we bring another person into our business, it'd have to be exactly the right person. It'd have to be this, and this, and this. And we didn't know who that person was. And then what was it, 3 days later?
It wasn't long.
And tells Roz, hey, I'm looking for office space. Do you know anything available? And we're just looked at each other. We're like, because Roz had said the only person I would even consider is Terri-ann, and she's not looking. So it was, that's how.
And there she was.
That's there I was.
Manifesting. So just as we did that fast, we didn't even realize we were doing it. We're all doing that, but you can do it with negative things too. If you're thinking about worst case scenarios, that's why I hate those news stories where they're saying, what if this happens? What if that? That's manifesting negativity. So, you know, try to avoid those. Don't think about those. Avoid those stories. Let's deal with right now. Let's, you know, I think if we dealt more with what's going on within, we'd have a lot less problems without.
Envision. You got to be envisioning the scenario that you want to present. And you have to watch for the synchronicity too, because when all that is happening, you know, you start to get these little signs where everything just starts kind of the dots are connecting, you know, and things that are out here floating around start to kind of like coalesce into events. And, you know, you got to be, I always say this little prayer, like, show me what I need to see, send me what I need, and let me have the brains to be on top of it when it arrives. I'm paying attention. Because sometimes stuff is happening and like 3 days later I'll think, wait a minute. So
I had the 11/11 the last few days, which I haven't seen in a
Me
long
too.
time. So I'm guessing there's another shift forward in my spiritual journey getting ready to happen, because it's been 11/11 here and there.
they're sending you code.
Yeah.
I've been seeing that, but I've been also seeing a lot 12/12. And I don't think I don't remember seeing that before. The 11/11 thing started for me, gosh, around 2010, and just drove me nuts.
Yeah,
I
it's
figure it out.
Every time I make a shift, and I think that's true for most people, is it's either a sign of awakening or a shift forward, and it's usually a major shift forward. My intention that I'm working on manifesting is that we as a planet make that shift forward by thinking positively, envisioning, what we want. We want to be virus free. We want people to be treated fairly. We want the discord to die down. We want things to be run efficiently and effectively, all of these different things. Envision that in your mind so you're not part of the collective energy making things continue as they are and worsen. But
and quit polluting.
It's what?
Quit polluting.
Yeah, that's so funny you say that, because it's really hard for me to get the environment out of my mind. That's like right along with my own personal spiritual mission is the environment, which was given to me as a mission in '84, and I've taken that very seriously. Like, I've escalated that. We've talked about that before, but yes, I was just thinking about the same thing. Like, think about the environment being completely clean water, clean air, clean oceans, clean, toxic and free food to eat, food for all of those things. The angels have said it is possible and it will happen. And I just trust them to the point where I know that that's true. So envision it, believe it, and do your part. But I don't want to slide over to that. You girls know I could talk about cleaning up the environment for a week or two or more.
That's a good thing. That's a good thing.
So some of the other things that are happening, I have some clients, me and Roz and Terri-ann are all mystics, and what's the difference between a mystic and a medium? A mystic visits other dimensions. Sometimes you want to, sometimes it just happens. That's been happening to me every single night for quite a while now, but it seems to be escalating more. So other people are experiencing that, and they're telling me that what's happening is they might be laying in bed, they're getting ready to go to sleep, and they realize that things are kind of hazy and they can't figure out why. And when they tell me that, I'm like, oh, I know where this is going, because usually it's like there's a haziness and then another image comes in and suddenly you're somewhere else. Like you're partially in your room, but also partially somewhere else. You might see aspects of both overlaying one another, or part of the room you're in India, part of the room you're in Arizona in your bedroom. That kind of thing, I think, I don't understand it. I'm not going to pretend that I do, but there's something happening with that where people who've never been mystics are suddenly experiencing it. And I can understand why that would freak them out. I mean, I've had some experiences that kind of freak me out, but luckily the scientist in my head kicks in and I'm like, what will happen if I stick my arm into that? It feels like a slight pressure, like up your arm, and then you can pull your arm back out, just in case you're wondering.
And then they're like, what if it sucks me through?
I have been worried, but I think I told you about what happened last Christmas when I was at my sister's house in Peoria area, and I woke up in the middle of the night and I needed to use the restroom, and I got up and then I realized I'm not in my sister's house. I'm in that palace somewhere with a rococo again. I'm in that palace I see a lot. I'm like, oh, fantastic. So I'm wandering, I can't find a door. I finally found the doorknob and opened it, and then I was back in my sister's house. So I walked through the room and I was totally fine. I felt around and felt the doorknob to the hallway, and then that went away and I was back in my sister's house. So now I know what happens. I don't know, what are some of the other things people are experiencing that you're hearing about, ladies?
Well, some of the things that I've been talking to people to are a little scary. You know, they're hearing. Remember when you would hear the bangs on your house, Ivory. You know, like suddenly there would be
Like
a
an
bang
elephant
or a
around the
bump.
house.
Yeah, bump on the outside of the house. Have a lot of people experiencing that. I've actually had some people hearing footsteps on the outside of their house or on their roof. You know, then they're really freaked out, of course. And it's just, I think, it's so individual how people connect with these events, and whether or not, I mean, a lot of people that I've talked to actually aren't very scared. They're going, what's going on? I'm hearing these bangs on the outside of my house. You know, so those are definitely changes in the dimensional field that are going on around their area, around their home. And the earth is really sensitive right now, I think. I mean, I keep, saying the earth is the earth is talking to us and we're not listening. So that's some of this physical noise and experience that people are happening. But
Well, I
I
think
think,
that opens a very important topic, which is some of the activity is not of the light. I've
yeah,
been
Hmm.
having activity again that's definitely dark activity. I told you about that
Me too.
figure that I was laying in bed and I watched it come up from the floor between my bed and the window in a column, and then wings opened. And I just, when I was on the thought of what is that, and I don't think I want that in here, there was that enormous flash of angelic white light, just poof, and that thing was gone. But there's been a few other things that I haven't experienced since moving to this house, which is on neutral land. I don't have the issues I had at the Sedona house, but like seeing a black wing, like a black wing, like go like this where there shouldn't be anything there. Um, and I'm hearing from clients too, especially ones who are training to be spiritual warriors, which means they're born to be spiritual warriors. They're seeing an increase in that. The people who, like you said, Roz, will call and they're just terrified because they're experiencing things they don't know what it is. So it's been a lot of talking to people about how to protect themselves spiritually, how to banish that, how to protect yourself from this happening, how to lessen the chances that it will happen to them. Education.
Yeah.
I can truly say that when I'm fully aware when I am doing warrior level work in that those frequencies, and dealing with, you know very not threatening, but they're definitely dark, low energy entities and beings. And um, you have to have yourself in. I'm usually talking to my angels and guides and Jesus, and surround me in the white light of love and protection, guide, shield, and protect me while I'm dealing with these beings. And one thing I really love, you guys know I love to watch those CCTV videos on YouTube, where they actually, I mean, these are videos done by security cameras all over the world, where they actually see the things that we're talking about people seeing now. They show shadow shadow people moving here and there. They're not necessarily doing anything harmful. They're not trying to hurt anybody. They're just in a different dimensional field. But when we see that, when people see that, and they're not kind of prepared for that, they can really just experience terror, which, when you actually think about it, they're not approaching you. They're
No,
not
it's just a sudden
doing
shift
anything.
from what you knew. Your reality suddenly expands to this
Yeah,
reality, and that requires some adjustment.
it does. And
face it.
objects, spirits, moving objects, these are things that we experience throughout our lives, but it's a whole new game and a um, whole new realization for the people that, come and are for the first time seeing this thinning between the veils. There's some amazing footage in other countries, and some here in the US too. But I've just seen some amazing footage on security cameras at intersections in different locations where it's definitely multiple dimensional frequencies and paranormal events, people suddenly popping in, walking into the events that are going on in the traffic and people, and all of a sudden, boom, and stuff like that. So I think as that increases, if people begin to realize that this is not something that's trying to harm us necessarily, it just in a different frequency, and all of a sudden they overlap and boom.
There's some evidence there that they can see us. They're like they can consciously enter and interact with us to help us if they want to.
Yeah. And so it's pretty obvious with some of these CCTV videos, which I just love because I've been seeing this stuff ever since I was a kid. So finally I'm going, all right, somebody's got it on film.
Now I don't have to be the weirdo.
But I think we have to realize too that many times these presences from these other dimensional fields, they're not aware that we're there.
Sometimes they don't.
They're coming into this frequency. The veil is very thin. They're moving in, and they're not aware of us. You'll see them move. They don't look at us. They don't approach us. They don't do anything. They just
look at us, but they're not really looking at us. Like I think I told you about, I was at my house in Cave Creek, and I had a sinus infection, wasn't feeling good, and suddenly I'm laying in bed, and a man walked into my bedroom, and he was really tall. He was wearing all denim. He had straight, dirty blonde hair, and it was kind of straw-like. And he had a cap on, even a denim cap. And he's real thin, and he walked in and he said, double down. And when he said it, he turned and looked at me, double down. But he wasn't really looking at me because he didn't focus. And then he turned and walked straight into the corner where I had a vortex there and disappeared. And I'm like, okay, that was interesting. Because remember, everyone's like, do you think he meant down? He said down double. Do you think he meant double down? I'm like, no, he said down double.
Those are the things that where people truly think they are flipping. They're losing.
I knew I wasn't. He was there just as real as can be, and just walked diagonally through the room and disappeared. I'm like, well, it's going to be one of those days, isn't it?
It's just a fascinating time, really.
It is, and
it's so wonderful.
Who've wanted to experience, like to hear or see their loved one who's crossed, that means everything to them, and they've been open to it, and finally it's happening, and they're just over the moon, crying with happiness over the moon. So I'm delighted with that. And Terri-ann and I have a little circle. We're not meeting right now, but we will be once it's not so hot. Where we do a circle with this council of light that's called Nyambula. And when they come in, like the first time they came in, there was people in the circle who'd never experienced something like that before. And I remember it just entered the heart chakra. And then like I started crying, just like it felt. It was just pure joy. And then it was going through our hands around the circle, this energy, it just covering us in hard chills, and it was in waves around and around and around. That was a real big awakening for several people. That just was like a life-changing moment for them. So,
I've actually had a lot of contact with Nyambula lately. I've been channeling them a lot. They have been very present, and I don't know if it's because I've had some dark issues too that they're coming in, but I've been channeling them. They have been here. I've been seeing those blue specks of orbs in my room. And somebody said to me the other day, I did a show and she's a medium and she's like, I don't know why, but I'm seeing like this big blue light come down on you.
Yeah, they've been here every single day. It doesn't matter whether we do the circle or not. You know, once you make contact, they've helped us. They're trying to help our planet. We've been trying to help wherever they're at. We're not real clear on that yet. But the point being that you never know when something's going to happen. That just opens up your heart chakra, opens up your third eye, and then you're able to start experiencing some of these things. It's not us and them. Everybody can have these type of experiences to some level. It's, you know, you got to give yourself some quiet time to tune into it and let yourself experience it. Don't be afraid.
Yeah.
Nice. I mean, that's the kind of thing that, you know, people who are practitioners and people who do the work of healing and trying to offer people comfort, etc., connecting with a very powerful collection of beings like that is pretty amazing. People wish for that.
Yeah, we did not anticipate that, but that was beautiful. And they've been here every day, sometimes multiple times a day. And I was going to say, it's interesting. That's funny you bring that up, Terri-ann, because every night when I do that nighttime intention that you wrote for me that I've expanded out into a Navala, I get to a certain point in that where every time Nyandala comes in and just whoosh, through me, and you know, it's just certain things that I guess that they want to emphasize is especially important and going to happen. So, you know, I think just being open to it. You can be nervous, you know, you can be a little nervous because it's something you've never experienced, but if you truly want to experience some of these things, there's never been a better time than right now to open yourself up to it. And if you're having things that are occurring and you're scared, you know, reach out to somebody. You know, you can reach out to us, reach out to somebody who can help you. All three of us have dealt with these things our whole lives, you know, since we were babies. So we're pretty used to the activity, and we can definitely help you. Make sure you feel like you're not insane. You know, instead of feeling nuts, you'll just come to a place of acceptance where you realize a new chapter has started for you. Pretty exciting.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I'm so happy that it's finally happening too.
Me too. And we've said this, I think it came up in the last show, Terri-ann, you brought up that the role of mediums is changing, and I have believed that totally. I think for 3 or 4 years now, I have been told that the role of mediums is going to be more of an educational one than it is doing mediumship. It's more helping people connect directly with their loved ones, and that's part of this huge awakening for all of mankind.
Yeah, it's empowerment, putting the hands back in the people, right? That's what I keep saying. That's what I keep hearing.
Absolutely. I always tell people they don't want to talk to me. You know, that's why they bring up. They think that you would do well with automatic writing or using a digital recorder, or if you're going to be receptive to a dream visitation, it's going to come out in your reading, because they don't love me. They're glad I can hear them, but they don't want to talk to me. They want to talk to you.
Right.
The one they love. Terri-ann's just very, very blessed that she's got that huge connection with her son Anthony, who passed about a year ago, and she has just got such a strong connection with him, and I know that's going to help so many people in similar situations, no matter who they've lost or how they lost them, to build that kind of connection for themselves. And there's a lot of healing in that. So there's amazing things. Yes, we're in a scary time. There's a lot of chaos going on, and it's very uncertain, but there's beautiful things happening in the process. I want to emphasize that this is all headed towards something beautiful. Visualize it.
What does Roz say? Everything is working out for our highest and best. I hear that. I say that every night.
Me too.
Me too, because I think it's true, and we don't always see it, and we may not be happy with the way things are unfolding, and yet we don't know. We're not in the celestial realm. We don't know what's happening behind the scenes or coming down the track for us, the meaning of this, the plan. We just, if you have trust in a higher power, if you have trust in your angels, and you're listening to their guidance, you have to trust that there's a reason for all of this, even if it seems impossible to see it for us now. It's not for us to see. So there you go.
And there you have it.
And that kind of leads into next week's topic, which is going to be about going with the flow. It goes right into that, flows right into that topic. So going with the flow, not trying to steer things too much, and just how to let things unfold naturally. And we'll talk about why that's important and how you can accomplish that. And we thank you for tuning in today for the Sedona Soul Sisters Show. If you're interested in learning more, please visit our website, sedonasoulsisters.com. We offer readings and healing and spiritual counseling, a host of services, and you can have them no matter where you are in the world. So check that out, and we'll be back next week with Going with the Flow. Have a beautiful week.
So long.
Bye.